Hello, today I'm reading a piece of Leonard Nimoy's book called I'm Spock, and I tried to create some tips that he used in his speech, because I think it's natural to read his autobiography in the style of his own speaking. So I will try. If we accept the notion of kismet, destiny, fate, that I was meant for the role of Spock, how did my past prepare me to become a proper channel, a vessel for this alien, this outsider who is at ease neither on his homeworld nor on Earth? To answer that question, I have to go back more than 50 years to the Vaudeville Theatre in the ethnic neighborhood in the heart of Boston called the West End. Like a lot of other 8-year-old kids growing up in the late 1930s, I walked with my brother down to the movie house one Saturday afternoon and settled back in a cautious seat in the cool darkness to look up at the indigo ceiling with the twinkling little white lights that looked like stars. We usually went to the 1 o'clock Saturday show and got there 20 minutes early, so we could be first to pick out the best seats. 20 years since, 28 cents entitled you to a double feature, cartoon, short reel comedy, and the news. I don't remember what else was playing that day, but the main attraction was The Hunchback of Notre Dame, featuring Maureen O'Hara as the Gypsy Esmeralda and Charles Lawton as the title character, Quasimodo. Poor Quasimodo's face and body were grotesquely deformed. A freak of nature, he lived a solitary and silent life in the towers of Notre Dame Cathedral. The great bells, his only companions, had left him completely deaf. He was so ugly that when the movie began, I could scarcely stand to look at him. One eye hung much lower than the other, and the large hump on his back kept him permanently stooped over. I wanted to avert my gaze out, but I couldn't, because as the story progressed, I saw that beneath his different exterior was a heart that yearned for love and acceptance. So I watched, horrified, as poor Quasimodo was falsely accused of a crime and put on public display on a wooden pillory in the cathedral courtyard. The king guards tied him down, flogged him with a cat-o'-nine-tails. He bore his punishment stoically, never crying out despite the pain. Then they left him to his humiliation while a pillory show turned, revealing his suffering to the huge throng and had gathered. The crowd jeered at him, mocked him, laughed at him while he begged for water. No one took pity of him, no one saw the anguished soul beneath the twisted flesh. And when his thirst made him cry out again, someone soaked a rag in mud and slapped him across the face with it. When that happened, I screamed uncomfortably in my seat. I wanted to hide my eyes because, thanks to Lawton's marvelous performance, I identified deeply with Quasimodo's torment. The outward difference between us didn't matter. And then a beautiful event unfolded on the flickering screen. Like the rest of the onlookers, the lovely Esmeralda was terrified and repulsed by a hideous creature on the platform. But her compassion overcame her fear, and she emerged from the hooting crowd to bring Quasimodo water from her own flask. At first, he would not take it. He turned his face, still dripping with mud, away unworthy, and let the offered water flow over his face like tears. It was as though he could not admit his suffering to her, couldn't let her see beyond his stoic and hideous mask. But she persisted, and at last he drank. When he looked up at her with shy, reverent gratitude and thought she were literally an angel of mercy, the theatre was utterly silent. Later, when the total had ended and Quasimodo staggered, weak and reeling, back to the cathedral, the hunchback gazed up at his caretaker and with a beatific smile uttered the simple sentence that tore out my heart. She gave me water. I was grateful the theater was dark, so I could cry freely. The humanity trapped inside this seemingly unhuman creature profoundly touched me, and I'm sure I was not the only one moved to tears that day. And at the movie end, Esmeralda walked off happily with her handsome young beloved. Poor Quasimodo watched her heart broken from his high perch, with jested and the cathedral's glowering gargoyles, and sighed. Why was I not made of stone like them? Who among us does not understand what is it to be an outsider, separate? Even at the tender age, I did. Thank you for your attention.